Mary Catherine Ham, Brian Wilson, Brian Neiman, today's newsmakers, and you, the Morning Majority. 105.9 FM, AM 630. WMAL.
It's 7:37 on the Morning Majority. Trevor Matich is here to tell us about the Redskins. How's it going, Trevor?
Awesome, Mary Catherine. How about you?
Good. So, Giants-Redskins this weekend. What is a Brian Neiman to do? The Giants recently coming off a losing streak. Redskins existing on the euphoria of slightly less bad performances.
Nice.
Where's the smart money?
Well, Giants. You know, the euphoria of slightly less bad performance. You take what you can get.
That's a battle cry, right?
Yeah, we don't feel as bad this week as we had in previous weeks. Therefore, it's a positive. We're heading in the right direction. You know, the football side of this is that the young players that performed so well last week, not perfectly, but certainly showed signs of encouragement. We'll have a whole degree of magnitude more difficult task against the Giants this week, especially the offensive players, because the Giants' defense, even with injuries to two of their best pass rushers, Osi Umenyiora and Justin Tuck, still have a terrific defensive front. And Jason Pierre-Paul really ate up the Redskins in the first game in the opener, even though he went against the starting tackles, Trent Williams and Jamal Brown. Well, Trent Williams is definitely out for this game, and Jamal Brown probably out. If he plays, he'll be playing injured at right tackle. That means that the young guys who performed last week will have to deal with a much better player, and we'll see if they've been able to improve from last week to this.
The Giants' defense is awful, though. I mean, everybody's moved the ball on the Giants. Everybody's been able to score on the Giants.
Sure.
So the Redskins have the ability to score on this.
No, they do. But from an individual standpoint, Jason Pierre-Paul is better than anything the Patriots put on the field.
Right.
And so that, to me, is the interesting thing here. You know, the Redskins, they beat the Giants. They don't beat the Giants. Hopefully they win. But the way I look at it is, where are they this week compared to last week in terms of the young players that they expect to be here next year, or the young players who prove that they aren't worthy to be here next year? And to me, that's a big deal. I'm watching Willie Brown at left tackle, and I'm watching Tyler Columbus at right.
You know, sometimes you win, and sometimes you have an opportunity to build your character. There's a lot of character building in this particular season, and it looks like this may be one of those cases. But last week, I had every expectation that the Redskins were going to get completely blown out.
Right.
And that just didn't happen. They were in it till the last few moments.
They fought.
They did, and I'm not giving up on these guys.
No, and the thing is, they're not giving up. And you know who's especially not giving up? Is Rex Grossman at quarterback.
I like that.
He has been dragged through the mud more than any quarterback in my memory. And, I mean, just hated and vilified by the fans, benched by his own coaches, gone back to only because there was no other option when the John Beck experiment failed. And yet he's coming out like he is a Super Bowl quarterback, which, by the way, in his past, he is. And he throws the ball not just for the short completions to make himself look good in the stat sheet, but throwing the ball down the field, matching Tom Brady touchdown drive for touchdown drive. Brady takes it down and scores. So what does Rex Grossman do? Our Rex, our train Rex, our guy that everybody loves to hate, goes back and has a touchdown drive of his own. Brady scores a touchdown. Grossman scores a touchdown. And the fact that they're fighting like that, you know, you mentioned the fight. That, to me, is the biggest key. Now, you take the fight, you add it to talent. Now we'll see how the talent performs.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to get dispirited in a season like this, but I don't detect that they are dispirited. I mean, they're banged up, they're battered, they're bloodied, but they're unbowed.
Great point. Great point. And as bad as the record is, and as bad as it seems, this team is a few positions away. You know, I think it'll take time to fill those positions. But one of the encouraging things to watch over the last several games is what happens at offensive line, because one of the things we've talked about is how they need to get 2 or 3 new starters on the offensive line, preferably through the draft, get them in there, give them time to develop as NFL players. That takes a couple of years. But if Willie Smith, the undrafted free agent from East Carolina, who showed encouraging signs last week at left tackle in place of Trent Williams, if he improves, if Maurice Hurt at left guard continues to improve at that position, they might be a year ahead, because now they won't have to draft 2 guys. They've developed 2 guys from within.
They're a long way away, though, aren't they? I mean, they got a lot of holes to fill. I mean, the offensive line's not good. There's nobody on the wide receivers.
Black cloud.
Now you got tight end problems because your starting tight end is
who knows what's going to happen there.
The secondary's bad. LaRon Landry, do you even bring him back? I mean, it's still it's still dark. I'm sorry.
Laurent Landry's a big problem. But again, what I look at here is where are they going? Because what do they need to do? They need to fill these positions in. How do you do it? You don't do it the way it's been done for the past decade. Bring in somebody else's aged superstar and pay him too much for the last legs of his career.
So we're paying for the sins of the past here is what's going on.
Right. But the thing is, in the last couple of years, they've done well. They've drafted 12 guys in the last draft. That's most in the NFL. 9 of those guys have played significant contributory roles on this team. And a couple of them now are injured. You mentioned wide receiver. Leonard Hankerson from the University of Miami has shown that he has shown flashes of an ability to be that playmaker, but now he's injured. You've got Jarvis Jenkins, the defensive end from Clemson, who was injured in training camp, the second-round pick, who they thought was their best defensive lineman in training camp. Well, these are guys that are poised to come back and continue to contribute should they stay healthy going forward. So, yes, they are, in my opinion, still a couple years away from really filling out that roster. But the young players that they've got now are showing signs of life, and that's important.
Can we talk Tim Tebow for a second?
Let's talk Tebow.
All right. So last week you said that, it was a definite maybe that he could possibly make it in the NFL. And I'm kind of in the same book with you. I'm not convinced of it yet. Bill Belichick's defense is not that great right now, right? So they're playing the Patriots this weekend. Is there a philosophy of how to stop this kind of offense that Tim Tebow runs that nobody else in the NFL does?
Well, yeah, yes. And right now nobody practices against it, and it's very difficult to simulate it in practice with your offensive scout team. It's that college offense where you've got zone reads and options, and the quarterback is a running threat at all times, which is typically not a normal NFL scenario. And it's the scenario that gives defensive coordinators nightmares, because usually in the NFL you don't have to account for the quarterback running. And if he does run, just hit him hard and they'll stop running the ball. And so the key for Tebow here is that they commit to this, that they continue to practice it, that they have a backup quarterback should Tebow get hurt who could do the same thing.
All right. The critics will say, though, that this is kind of like the Wildcat, or it's